I lost my dad, my mom, and my baby sister.
Hello and welcome. My name is Zaffar Iqbal and you are watching The Mojo Story. Every day we are getting bizarre statements from Canada, one after the other. Today, the statement that's come from Canada is from the Deputy Foreign Minister David Morrison, who has confirmed, according to reports, that he told the Washington Post that India's Home Minister Amit Shah had allegedly authorized violence against separatists on Khalistani on Canadian soil. Now, David Morrison was joined by other senior officials and he was testifying before the members of Parliament on the Public Safety Committee. Now, this cannot get more absurd and strange than this. Only yesterday, we heard that a Diwali function was cancelled by the Conservatives in Canada. But now, this story that was leaked to the Washington Post some days ago has now been confirmed by senior officials of Canada that they, in fact, told the Washington Post that they, in fact, leaked that story to the Washington Post. Why is it strange? Because, on one hand, India is asking Canada to give evidence, and on the other hand, Canadian officials are leaking the stories to Washington Post rather than giving any substantial evidence to India. We're joined by Alok Bansal. We'll, of course, play that soundbite in a short while from now, but let's go right across to Alok Bansal, Director of India Foundation. Alokji, you heard that statement. It's been widely reported that they have named India's Home Minister, that he's the one who authorized, according to them, violence on the Canadian soil. Can it get more absurd and bizarre than this?
See, there is no doubt that the whole saga has been extremely absurd and bizarre. In fact, they have not given any credible evidence to the government of India, and they're leaking names to the media. That's one way of actually castigating people without giving them any evidence. And as I had indicated earlier, this whole game is about voters, about internal audience. Canadian government at this point of time wants to please a certain section of the electorate, and that's why this sort of bizarre drama is being enacted.
But every day we are seeing a new chapter of this drama. Today there's another chapter that has come across, that they have said in that parliamentary committee that that's true. They have confirmed that they leaked the story to the Washington Post. And what can be more strange than this? What is that? What is it that Canadian officials and Canadian government is getting out of this? I know there are political considerations, but isn't it getting out of hand? When you name the home minister of a country, yeah.
Undoubtedly, when a country starts leaking information officially to a media house rather than informing the other country and accusing a third country's home minister of this sort of a serious accusations, there are serious problems, and one needs to take cognizance of it. That Canada, the way it's functioning, it seems the government itself is dysfunctional. It's actually behaving in a bizarre manner, casting aspersions on higher dignitaries of another country without providing even a shred of evidence, and then trying to humiliate them or actually denigrate them by leaking such stories to media houses.
Right. And one wonders, is it Justin Trudeau and his party? They are the ones, the liberals, who are spearheading this sort of a campaign, or it's across the board? There are conservatives also involved. Why I'm asking this? Because only yesterday, the conservatives, who traditionally would hold a Diwali function every year, just cancelled it.
I really wonder why it's happening, or is it that Conservative Party is also trying to play holier than thou and try and seek votes from a certain section of the society, which Trudeau has been trying to cultivate. So probably Conservatives feel that if this vote bank goes to Liberal, they'll probably lose out. So it is actually trying to play the politics of competitive populism that actually Conservative Party is indulging in, and is trying to behave in this sort of a manner. I've still not understood why this Diwali function was cancelled. it would be prudent on the part of Conservative Party to actually come out with greater details as to why this important function was cancelled.
And it is something, it's a tradition that used to happen year after year, and suddenly they seem to have buckled under Khalistani pressure. And these are conservatives. Of course, the sense that one gets that perhaps the Khalistanis elements are so well entrenched in the system and institutions, now it's difficult to control them. It may not be just one party, but they have really infiltrated into all layers of the system.
There is no doubt. I think that's what it seems. It looks as if they have infiltrated every section of the government, and in fact, they are so powerful that not only Liberal Party and NLP, they are actually now uh, influencing other political parties as well. Despite not having so many numbers, they are probably punching way beyond their weight, and I think are controlling. According to media reports, these Khalistani sympathizers have very good linkages with terrorists and criminal gangs, which actually help people illegally migrate from Canada to US, and that is what has given them strength. And as of now, they rule the underworld, Canadian underworld, and I think that's where I think they are drawing their strength from. These criminal gangs are now intimidating the political parties, and political parties probably need that sort of a muscle power why they are actually kowtowing to such groups.
And do you think some sort of a concerted campaign here that's going on against India? We saw what's happening in Canada, the statements that are coming in. And then there is another character, Gurpatwan Singh Pannu, who is sitting in US. He is making threatening calls every now and then. He has made another threatening statement asking people not to travel on Air India, and nothing happens. He's there, and in fact, an investigation is underway, which US says there was a foiled murder plot against him, and one of the officials of RNAW, a former official, was involved in that. That investigation is still underway. And some journalists asked a question to the White House spokesperson, that is also the Indian High Commissioner in the US being asked to go, and he said that he has no knowledge of it. Do you think that one cannot miss that sort of a clear cut, some sort of a connection between these two, the things that are happening in Canada, of course, and this Gurpatwan Singh Pannu, the threatening statement that he's making out of the US?
See, as far as Pannu is concerned, I think the US government seems to have shared certain evidence, and there seems to be some botched up operation. That's a prima facie, it appears, because certain evidence has been shared by the US. Indian government is collaborating with them. So I think it will not be prudent to club the two issues together. There is, of course, the US has shared with you evidence, and there is some amount of evidence. But this sort of a statement from Pannu, where he's telling people not to travel by Air India flight, I think this is a very serious issue, and I think government of India should take a step with the US authorities to get him prosecuted for this, because this sort of an statement is extremely dangerous, and it actually reeks of terrorism.
And this is not the first time he's made this statement. He made this sort of a statement last year also. And one just wondering that if it happens in some other country and a statement is made about US or some other country, what is that country going to do? See, it is US, and they say that there is a freedom of speech, but this is inciting violence. One understands that different, that line has already been crossed.
See, there is no doubt you can have political differences, you can spouse an ideology, but you can't threaten to blow up a plane. I think that's pure terrorism. And I think this needs to be uh, taken up. I feel government of India should take it up with the United States. And this is a sure shot incitement for terrorism. If tomorrow somebody from India was to say that I'm going to blow up the White House, will they look at it as just purely a political difference or something like that? If somebody says that don't travel by United Airlines or something like that, will US take it just lying down? I don't think so. So I think it is time that uh, the government of India should take it up strongly with the United States. This sort of a statement cannot be allowed. But we need to provide them credible evidence that Pannu did make this evidence, because all these statements will have to be uh, proved. in court of law that yes, he did make a. So we need to have some
No,
credible evidence.
he's openly making those statements. Those statements are there. Those are video statements. But the point is that government of India has taken certain steps. His properties have been confiscated in Punjab. But is that enough? What government of India is doing here? Because it seems like a concerted campaign. Should government of India do more, and what is that the government of India should do now? Because this seems like a bigger problem. Maybe the government of India's fixation has been with Pakistan, with China on the borders, but this is an issue where we are seeing daily sort of an update one way or the other coming in from Canada.
See, as I said, government of India, as far as Canada is concerned, needs to act tough because the way Canadian government is behaving is unacceptable. It's irrational. Uh, as far as the United States is concerned, we need to take up the issue of Pannu. But at the same time, we need to collaborate with the United States as far as the investigation on that assassination bid is concerned. Because if what the United States is telling, then there is a credible evidence against certain Indian citizens. So that needs to be resolved. I think we need to have some system by which this issue gets resolved. But we are also seeking from United States many American citizens like Hadley, etc., who were involved in issues of terrorism. So the way there should be some reciprocity. It will be on quid pro quo basis. If US wants to investigate or inquire about some Indian citizens, then they can send a team here to India to question him or do anything, any sort of investigation here. Like the Indian team had gone to US to actually question James Hadley and get the inputs from him.
I know, Alokji, you'll have to leave, but one last thing that I come back to this statement by David Morrison when he said that, of course, they leaked that information to the Washington Post and they are naming the Indian Home Minister. Now it has crossed another level. This particular, on this thing, India has not so far reacted. What do you expect Indian government to say about this particular thing?
I really don't know. The government of India should strongly react. Actually, I think we need to take it up even more because Canadian government has been going berserk. They are naming Indian individuals, Indian government officials without a shred of evidence. The government of India should clearly say that if you are saying so, where is the evidence? How can you accuse a government's home minister? Can we say Justin Trudeau is actually encouraging terrorism? Can we say Justin Trudeau is actually hand in gloves with Al Qaeda or Khalistani terrorists? If we were to make such statements, I think we would share it with the government of Canada and share evidence, not go through some media houses and make some sort of wild allegations.
Right. You have to go. Alok Saab would have loved to have you more on our show and speak more, but I know that you are leaving. But thanks so much for joining us. In fact, we would want to play that sound bite. In that hearing, what exactly was asked and what was said by the Deputy Foreign Minister.
Swear. You can confirm then that the information about, for example, the Indian Home Affairs Minister and his alleged involvement in these crimes in Canada, that was not released in Canada, however. Can you confirm that? That was only released in the Washington Post, pardon me.
So this is not an information we provided to the journalist.
Pardon me, it was not information you provided?
No.
Who provided that information then to the journalist? You're not sure? But that was not yourself who provided that information, was it?
We did not.
Mr. Morrison, can you comment? Did you provide that information?
The journalist called me and asked me if it was that person. I confirmed it was that person.
Oh, you confirmed. So you
This is a journalist who's written extensively on this topic. A journalist that has various sources. He asked me if that was one of the people, and I confirmed that it was.
Journalist who has sources and has written extensively on this topic confirmed that is he the person, and he said yes, it is the person. Now the thing is that Canada has been making such statements since more than a year now. It was in September 2023 that Canadian Prime Minister stood up in the Parliament and said that agents of the government of India are responsible for the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Canadian citizen who India says is a Khalistani. He was killed. Now, India has since then been asking Canada to provide evidence. Canada has not been giving evidence. And what is ironical is that Canadian Prime Minister recently said, again in a public hearing, that he made those statements based on intelligence inputs. He made the statement based on intelligence inputs and not on any evidence. But how does intelligence inputs amount to making such a big statement? Of course, he has to give the evidence. So government of India has said that the responsibility of the damage of this behavior has caused to India-Canada relations lies with Prime Minister Trudeau alone. So government of India has clearly held Prime Minister Trudeau responsible for the damage in the relationship. So much so that Canada said that Indian High Commissioner and the diplomats were persons of interest, that they could be questioned in this case. And then there was an expulsion of diplomats from both the sides. The relations have touched a rock bottom. The question that's being asked, that it has taken decades for these relations to build between the two countries, and hard work and efforts of a lot of people. Just holding it hostage to one particular incident where there is no evidence from Canada that's been supplied or given to India yet, how is it going to help Canada? How is it going to help the relations in the two between the two countries? In fact, we can play up that timeline of exactly when Justin Trudeau made that statement till the time of the expulsion of the High Commissioner who was called by India to come back after he was named as, and other diplomats were named as persons of interest by Canada.
Credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
I think it is Canada and its growing reputation as a place, as a safe haven for terrorists, for extremists and for organized crime.
19 ਨਵੰਬਰ ਤੋਂ ਗਲੋਬਲ ਬਲੌਕੇਡ ਤੇ 에ਅਰ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੱਲਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ।
Khalistani extremists are being encouraged all the time. I also know, again, this is my allegation, I'm not giving you any evidence on that. I also know that some of these Khalistani extremists and terrorists are deep assets of CSIS.
The Indian government hired thugs to terrorize Canadians.
Right, that diplomatic battle that started last year seems to be escalating by the day only. But it's not just the liberals, even the conservatives have gone a step ahead to go closer to these Khalistani separatists, to bow under their pressure when they cancelled the Diwali function that they used to do every year. And this time around, after that invitation was put out, they came out with a letter and they cancelled that Diwali function. And we were talking to one of the persons from Canada yesterday who was on our show, a guest on our show. He said that even in those functions recently, they didn't even play the Indian national anthem and some of the flags were taken away. So one wonders, on one hand, Indians sent so many students to Canada for studies. On the other hand, this relations have touched the rock bottom. There's 1 billion that's lost because Indian students do not go to Canada. One wonders How is this helping Canada, just raking up one issue and being fixated on this? On your screen, you saw that was the letter of cancellation of the Diwali function. And these are conservatives. Of course, the Liberal Party that is led by Justin Trudeau has already been extremely hostile to India, and they have permitted all those campaigns in Canada where people openly take out anti-India rallies, glorify the killers uh, of a former Prime Minister of India, and there is no action taken against them. And when we asked this question to former RNAW chief, Mr. Dullat, on one of our shows, he in fact explained the whole thing, and he said that it's not so simple. There are many layers involved here. This is what he had to say.
Look, I'm not talking of a mole. I'm talking of a straightforward agent. He would be a mole if he was in Punjab, but he's right there. The reason I'm saying this, and I'll keep on saying it, and I told you before, is the kind of support that this man is getting. As you say, he's bad news. He's a terrorist. So why are the Americans supporting him? For what reason? If he's not one of their own, if he's not has no link with them, then the Americans don't want Khalistan, surely. The Canadians have a separate distinct because there are a lot of more Sikhs in Canada than in the United States. The Americans have nothing to do with Khalistanis or whatever it is. So why is this particular gentleman, a special favorite of theirs? That they're so concerned, and it's not even somebody who has been gunned down or anything. That there was a plan to gun him down.
Right, that he was talking about Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, who's based in US, and it all started with Justin Trudeau standing up in the Parliament in September last year and saying that agents of the government of India were responsible for the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, and India has been asking for evidence since then, but no evidence has come in just yet. But Prime Minister of Canada has been clearly reiterating those allegations, reiterating that stand, and saying that it is the agents of the government of India. But now, what is surprising and what is strange is that Canadian Deputy Foreign Minister has in fact confirmed that they leaked the story to Washington Post, wherein they named an Indian official. He's in fact allegedly naming the Home Minister of India, Amit Shah, as one being responsible for spreading violence on the Canadian soil. Now, it has gone to another level. On one hand, India has been asking Canada to give evidence. On the other hand, they're leaking stories to Washington Post on the basis of intelligence input. Their own Prime Minister says that they are making he's made those statements on the basis of intelligence inputs and not on the basis of any evidence. It cannot get more bizarre than this. This seems to be completely unprofessional and uncoordinated. If we can again play up that soundbite.
You can confirm then that the information about, for example, the Indian Home Affairs Minister and his alleged involvement in these crimes in Canada, that was not released in Canada, however. Can you confirm that? That was only released in the Washington Post, pardon me.
So this is not an information we provided to the journalist.
Pardon me, it was not information you provided?
No.
Who provided that information then to the journalist? You're not sure? But that was not yourself who provided that information, was it?
We did not.
Mr. Morrison, can you comment? Did you provide that information?
The journalist called me and asked me if it was that person. I confirmed it was that person.
Oh, you confirmed. So you
This is a journalist who's written extensively on this topic. A journalist that has various sources. He asked me if that was one of the people, and I confirmed that it was.
And he confirmed that it was Mr. Morrison, saying that he had in fact leaked that story to Washington Post. And he has confirmed that the Washington Post had reported this story a few weeks ago. But clearly, Canada is making no efforts for reconciliation, for helping the relations to improve between the two countries. But what we are hearing day after day, statements from Canada that are only going to harm the relations more and create more problems between the two countries. Already, the diplomats have left. Diplomats of both the countries have left. In fact, one of the diplomats, when he was summoned by the emir last time, came out and then spoke to media and said that Canada has provided all the evidence to India, while India says not a shred of evidence has been given by Canada. But after all of this, one can imagine it's a clear sign of the relationship, depleting relationship between the two countries, that Canada has, the Conservative Party of Canada has cancelled a Diwali function, something that they used to do year after year, buckling under Khalistani pressure of Khalistani separatists. We'll have to leave it here, but thanks so much for watching the Mojo story and for tuning in. Thanks for watching.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.